You want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
What, the countdown?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the Comedy Suplex PODCART. I am your host, the Viggity, a.k.a. Peace Machine, a.k.a. the Submission Sensation, Hard Knocks, the Beach Body, Ryan Ash. And my tag team partner is all the way across the country in California.
Bam.
He is the Beach Bum, Mikey G, a.k.a. Dirty Ronald McDonald. And together, we are the Beach Bum. Mikey G, how you doing?
Man, I am living it up in the sun out here. Finally, all the nerds are leaving town. San Diego Comic-Con was a wild and entertaining 4-day excursion out here. All the cosplayers and people dressing up in their little furry costumes and everything. It takes over the town. It's the biggest comic convention of the year, and it's held here in San Diego. So I've been trying to avoid downtown for the last couple days.
Well, that's a smart move because you don't want to be around any of the nerds. But on August 18th, Mike, we're going to be surrounded by nerds as we go into nerd territory to take on the king of the nerds, BRYAN ALVAREZ, at the WrestlingObserver.com convention. It's going to be you and me, baby, taking on BRYAN ALVAREZ and his partner. Are you ready for this bout?
Man, not only am I ready, I was doing a little tape, doing a little research on the tape. I saw them fighting the 95-year-old Rock and Roll Express a couple weeks ago. So, I think, they've got their work cut up for them going against the Beach Bums. But I don't think there's any way they can go toe-to-toe with the two best bods in the building.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we saw BRYAN ALVAREZ and his partner, Filthy Tom Lawler, take on the Rock and Roll Express. Rock and Roll is what? Yeah, like you said, 80 years old. Yeah, and guess what? They got beat, and they're going to get beat again. Because the Beach Body and the Beach Bud combined, we make the Beach Bums, and we make all the nerds bow down to us because we're getting the win, man. We're getting the win. But I don't think it's going to be Filthy Tom. I think Filthy Tom has another booking that night. So Alvarez, you find yourself a partner. Doesn't matter who. Go get one of the Rock and Roll Express. Who cares? Go get Lance Storm. Go get your boy Vinny. Go get Craig. Doesn't matter to me. Because we're bringing it, and we're going to get the 1, 2, 3.
Man, the only chance they had was Filthy Tom Lawler on that team. And now that all they got is that pencil neck geek BRYAN ALVAREZ, you're biting off more than you can chew, son. I know you haven't seen a protein shake in your entire life. So, I know you don't know what biting off more than you can chew is all about. But you've done it here, son. And you're going to get your fucking mouth full with a bunch of the Beach Bums on August 18th in Las Vegas. You better look out because we're coming for you, son.
Right. All the details of the WrestlingObserver.com convention are up on WrestlingObserver.com. Click on any of the daily updates at the bottom. It's a huge card. It's not just us. Sure, we're going to main event the show because we're main eventers, but they've got the Grannies doubles tag team match tournament with all women, lots of future stars of wrestling, and this is in conjunction with the WrestlingObserver.com convention. So it's a whole extended weekend of super fun wackiness. I think it starts on Thursday the 16th. Then there's the group dinner on Friday and the suite party. That's the 17th. And then the big FSW show on Saturday night with us headlining. And then the next day is WWE's Summer Spectacular SummerSlam. So head on out to Las Vegas. Get the details on WrestlingObserver.com. Mike, were you at the fan convention? Were you at the Nerd Fest, or were you just trying to avoid it?
No, we were trying to avoid it. Fist Combat did held a cage match pro wrestling show on Thursday, the first night of Comic-Con, and I lost my Get Fisted title to Ruby Reyes in a cage match. Yeah, she got some help from these two badass fucking Texas boys, True Grit. They're two big-ass cowboys who earlier in the night won back the Fist Combat tag team titles. So now Ruby Reyes and True Grit got some shit coming to them. But hey, next month we got Jeff Cobb coming out. A lot of big shit going on, too. We're about to take over our second city, 3.5 hours away, 3.5 hours to the north, Bakersfield. So look out, Fist Combat is expanding. Fuck, man, I've been doing a goddamn show every night of the week, and I don't think that this is going to change anytime soon, man. I've just been doing shows.
I know, you've been busy, man.
It's been cool too because like over the weekend on Friday I was in Bakersfield headlining the third Friday of the month show at this Peruvian restaurant. The place was jam packed out there. Big shout out to my man Tyson Paul for having me out there to headline. Did a nice 30-minute set out there, and boy do they love comedy and the Dirty Ron edibles.
Why in 2018 can you just slap nerd on the end of everything and it's cool? It's like, oh, I'm a coffee nerd, or I'm an a beer nerd. It's like snob. Nerd and snob are now like okay to be. What happened to jocks? Shouldn't these jocks be out there kicking everyone's ass? It's like cool to be I'm a comic book nerd. I'm a wrestling nerd. I'm a baseball nerd. It's like, what happened to nerd being an insult?
But everybody's equal. Everybody's equal, and I think that's kind of an endearing quality if you come off as a nerd. Some people might come off as an intimidating person, and then to soften their image to those people, they're like, oh, I'm a wrestling nerd. Like, I'm a wrestling nerd. But yeah, no, I hear you. I don't get it. Well, hey, I know you went back to St. Louis recently to do some wrestling, and I was thinking about it, man. What do you think about us going? You're going to be back there for Thanksgiving, right?
Hopefully. That's the plan, yeah.
That's the plan. What do you think about the Comedy Suplex Extravaganza wrestling event? Like a little wrestling, a little music, a little chaos, a little party action on the St. Louis area. I think we got the power to do it.
Seriously? I mean, I think that's a great idea. We could absolutely certainly we could draw enough to make it worth our time. Yeah, so we could do like a couple of wrestling matches. We could maybe have a band or two play, in between, do like a whole party event. We could do, different like fan interactive sort of, like they do on like Road Rules or what are those stupid MTV?
Tape like a live PODCART before the show.
Hey, there you go. We could do some like contests with the fans. That's what I was trying to come up with. Yeah, a live Comedy Suplex PODCART. Yeah, that'd be super cool. Take questions from the audience. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. Let's figure out a date and a venue, and let's do it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'm just, as we're getting here into the busier season for shows and events, I like to kind of map out what I got going on in the fall. And, I think going back to the Midwest is good. I'm getting flown out there for a show, and it started bringing back old memories of old independent wrestling shows and dates and and things like that. Like, you've done backyard wrestling, right? Besides what you did with Scorpio and Nature Boy John.
Not really. I never really did backyard, per se. I very much did shitty independents, which are essentially backyards. But no, I never actually wrestled in a backyard. But beer bar basements, back alleys. Things that aren't venues. I certainly had wrestling matches
Matt
there.
Seidel was at in a backyard wrestling in House Springs, Missouri, about a half an hour south of St. Louis County. Backyard wrestling.
Oh, I'm very aware of House Springs. Yes, and that whenever we had to play them in a sport, I was like, oh God, we got to drive to House Springs, and it was like an hour away from the city of St. Louis. So. Yeah, never was a fan, but certainly a great place for some backyard wrestling.
I remember this time that I wrestled a guy, right? And it was because wrestling was so popular back in the day that not only were there like backyard wrestling promotions, that actually drew better than some indies that I've wrestled for. Like there were wrestling promotions that drew way better than like fist combat shows drew in Northern California. Like we were killing it back in the day.
Yeah, I said that I didn't wrestle for backyards, but I did wrestle for LWA. You remember Adam Raw? He had a promotion. Yeah, but I used to wrestle.
That promotion now is St. Louis Anarchy. It has evolved into St. Louis Anarchy.
Does he still wrestle? Adam Raw, he was a great wrestler, man. I had a lot of fun working him.
He's not a wrestler anymore. He owns his own personal training, gym, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Team Sam.
He was always in good shape. I'm not surprised. Team Sam, awesome. We'll have to hook up with Team Sam, but I wrestled. They had like a barn that had a wrestling ring in it, and they used to just pack people in there. Pack meaning probably close to 90 or 100 people in a place. Standing room only, crowd right up on the ring. It was awesome. I loved working for that promotion. Super hot, super crazy stuff. That was fun.
Yeah, man. Fucking. Oh, dude. Yeah, that's. I think that was the first place that I managed you at. Was for LWA.
Was that when I wrestled Evan Jalistico?
It was a couple matches. I remember that you would fucking just get up on the guardrail and start grinding up on women. Put your dick right in their face and shit, man. You used to come out with them pink shirts, dude. That shit was. You were a fucking heat magnet. For no reason did you need me as your manager. You knew how to get heat. You knew how to talk. But I was like, fuck this. I'm hanging out with the Viggity.
Hey, well, guess what? My gimmick hasn't evolved all that further. I now just my shtick is that I'm going to the beach. I still do all the grinding and the sex stuff. So, yeah, I do some of my moves are I do put the guy in a head triangle or head scissors, and then I do sit-ups. Catch a pump. And then I do some push-ups off his chest while I'm choking him. Those sort of things. Those are always great for getting heat. I love doing stuff like that.
Great heat magnet shit, man. And that's the thing that we're gonna show when we're in Vegas is we're gonna lay down the heat on these motherfuckers. Hey, Viggity, I would love to tell the funniest story. I remember the last time that we worked for LWA together,
okay,
as a squad. That we got pulled over. Can I tell that story?
This is a non-wrestling story, but yeah, we were leaving an LWA show, and I drove, and so I was giving Mikey G a ride home, and his boy, who I had never met before. So there was.
Who was in the car too? Somebody else? Oh, Fat Jerry.
Yeah, there was a big guy. I don't remember his name.
Fat Jerry.
Fat Jerry. Yeah, that's about right. All right, take it from there.
All right, so here's what went down. First of all, I'm a cocksucker, and I don't know if anybody can tell this by listening to our PODCART, but I am definitely a
Mike,
cocksucker.
That's a little harsh. You're not a cocksucker. I mean, you're a nut job, but cocksucker implies asshole to me. You're not an asshole. You're just a wacky guy that sometimes people don't like.
It's not true at all. I'm a complete asshole. You've never seen the asshole side of me, I guess. Then, but
no, I don't think. I think I have. I just don't think that
I'm not that big of an ass. No, I'm leading up to my interaction with the police officer
fine.
here.
You're a huge cocksucker.
No, okay. So I'm an asshole, and especially if I know I'm right. If I know that I'm right. I mean, knowing that I'm right. I'm not one of those people who, if I double down on, hey, I'm right, I know I'm right. I got you in checkmate. You're not winning. Especially if I'm like,
right,
hey,
I feel you.
If I say to somebody, I am super confident in my answer, I'm not saying that because there's a possibility I could be wrong. I'm telling you that because I'm 100% right. Anyway, so
right.
We're driving.
So anyway, let me add something to this. I am 100% sober. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And I was very concerned allowing you two into the car because you're both clearly drunk as fuck. And I was trying to get to a party so I was trying to get out of there as fast as I possibly could. And so I'm driving a little bit fast. And I have my brights on accident.
Yeah, because you got a fucking sticker of Jesus over your brights thing on your dash.
Was that what it was? It wasn't a sticker of Jesus. It was a sticker over
something.
It, though.
Yeah, well, I'm going with a sticker of Jesus because your mom's a Jesus freak, and in my head, she put it there. So
okay.
So here we are, fucking driving down. We're getting pulled over. I had already smoked all the weed that I had, so I had no weed left. We get pulled over, and the cop comes up, and he's just like, yo, I fucking smell the weed, right? And I was like, there's no weed in here. And he's like just going on and on and on and on. And I'm like, look, man, I'm telling you there's no weed in here. And if I'm telling you there's no weed, there's no weed. He's like, do you care if we get a dog? And I'm like, no. He's like, why not? Because I'm like, because there's no fucking weed in here.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to have to stop you here because the way you stopped me for all my stories. We were driving home from a show, and I was dropping Mike and this guy off. and we happened to drive through an alcohol DUI checkpoint, and that's how we got pulled over, because I had my brights on because there was a Jesus sticker over my bright thing. So brights being on indicates many times to police officers that you've been drinking. So that's why we get pulled over. I'm driving the car, and Mike, and I'm fucking freaking out because there's just pot smoke just bellowing from the windows,
right,
and I'm freaking out. And Mike start being a total dickhead to the cop, and I'm like, whoa, brother, whoa, like, this ain't your car. I'm driving. I'm the one about to get fucking pinched here. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and you didn't know that I didn't have any weed. Like, all the weed was gone. So like, they bring the dogs over, and they pull us out of the car, and we're all sitting on the side of the road, and the dog's just rifling through there. He's like, "Where's it at? Just tell me where's that." And I'm like, "Look, man, I'm telling you, there's no weed in here." He's like, "No, I'm gonna find it, and then you're gonna be in trouble. But you'll be in less trouble if you tell me where it is." And I'm just like, "Hey, look, man, I'm telling you, there's no weed in here." And he just thinks that I'm some dumb little kid, just like, mouthing off to the cop. And yeah, I was, but no weed was found because there was no weed in the goddamn car.
I know, but I didn't know that at the time. And luckily, you guys just smoked the weed, and I guess I was like, God, there's a seed fell out, or just a little bud fell on the ground, or something that's gonna fuck me over here.
For sure, you're going to jail.
And you're like, keep searching it, it. It's fine. They're walking. We were on the side of the road for like a half hour. They bring a drug team over, and the drug dog starts walking around my car. And every time it goes past Mike, it just goes fucking crazy because he just reeks of weed. And I'm just pacing on the side of the road, just like, I'm going to jail tonight. I'm going to jail tonight. I'm the sober one here, and I'm going to jail tonight. And continue.
No, that was it, man. They didn't find no weed, and they put us on our way. Because I told them, I said, look, man, I told you there was no weed. And there was no weed. I wasn't lying.
I was so pissed at you. I mean, ultimately, I had no reason to be pissed at you because you didn't have anything. Yet you were right, and it was my fault for having my brights on accident. So yeah, I was after that. I was like, fuck that guy. I'm never letting him in my car again.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I'm glad I'm finding that out 15 years later, whatever.
Yeah. That was fun working for that LWA promotion. Those guys, they knew how to put a card together, and they knew how to draw, and they promoted their shows. And a lot of times I think promoters forget to promote shows, and they think that it's all about booking and, creating hot angles and things like that. It's like, no, man, people just got to know that you have a show. That's number one. The angles and stuff get them to continue coming. But the first time, they just got to know that there's a show out there. And I think a lot of promoters just rely on social media too much. Like, there's something to be said about flyers and, TV commercials and posters.
Well,
that stuff works.
You got to put in the work, man. I've been I had my first wrestling match in September of 2001. And I still go out, I promoted my first show in January of 2007. And I still go out there for every show and put up flyers. I put up flyers.
You had your first license match in 2001, but you've been wrestling for a long time.
Yeah, for like 2 or 3 years.
When did you start doing backyard stuff?
1999.
And what was your promotion called?
Oh, man, what was the first one called? WRW, World Renegade Wrestling.
Ooh, playing off of MRW?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because it was January 1999 that I went to my first independent wrestling show. And then it was, like, the next week I was doing backyard wrestling.
And the independent show you saw was MRW, the Midwest Renegade Wrestling?
Yep.
Yeah, that was mine, too. First time I went to an indie show was an MRW show. It was at Webster Groves University, and I guess it was 99 or 98 or something in there, but holy crap, I had so much fun. I went crazy for everything, and and I remember the main event was Big Bad Ben versus Pete Madden, and Ben got busted open the hard way on a post. He got his head thrown into the post, and I've never seen this much. Up until that point, I'd never seen that much blood in a wrestling match. It was, yeah, I thought he gigged, and I was like, oh my God, these guys take this shit way too seriously. Like, that guy over-gigged. But no, come to find out later, he got split open the hard way with his head hitting the post. And I also, on that card, was Keith Smith versus Jimmy Snuka. Superfly was on that card.
Oh.
And, yeah. Yeah, it was great. He got up on the top rope without shoes on, did the Superfly jump and splash. And after that, I was like, I got to figure out how to get into this MRW show. And, it took a little finagling, but eventually I did. And that's how I got into independent wrestling myself.
Yeah, big shout out to Brian Stull and the Stranglehold for being the one that introduced me to independent professional wrestling. Actually, that's not true. I watched Dr. X's Wrestling Royale. My mom was a dental hygienist, and some guy that was a cameraman on the Dr. X's Wrestling Royale gave her a tape. She gave me the tape, and I watched it. Saw Pete Madden versus Big Bad Ben from Wild Country from like 1997 or some shit. Yeah, and then
what was the Dr. X thing? What was that?
The Grand Poobah was Dr. X.
No kidding.
Poobah. Yeah, and he would like take independent wrestling matches from different promotions and air it on the public access channel.
Oh, I had no idea, because Grand Poobah ended up being one of the announcers for Gateway Championship Wrestling, which is the promotion where Mike and I met for the first time. Yeah, Grand Poobah and Tommy Jeans. So they were doing that before that. I had no idea. Grand
Poobah basically took a bunch of tapes, put them together, and put his own show together. And he'd be in a mask and introduce the matches in between them and shit. But then I think Grand Poobah kind of started working with South Broadway. And then once Big Bad Ben and Pete Madden and Ty Dalton left South Broadway, they started MRW and they took Grand Poobah with them.
Oh, no kidding! Because I started at South Broadway Athletic Club, and for those of you who don't know, South Broadway Athletic Club is just this old school once a month wrestling show where it's just the Hoosiers in St. Louis. They sell it out every week or every month. It probably holds around, what do you say, about 700-800 people.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That fucking place was off the chain. They've been holding wrestling there for
sell it out
100 years or some shit.
Yeah, there's been wrestling there forever. That's where the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame is located, and that's where I got my start.
Me too.
Kind of unintentionally, actually, because I had gone down there to learn boxing because way back in the day, I met this pro boxer named Eddie Hobson, and he trained down there, and I was like, well, I guess I'll go to that boxing gym. I want to learn boxing. So I went down to South Broadway Athletic Club, and I was training boxing, and I did that for a year, But the whole time, there's this other section of the building, the training center, that's professional wrestling. And on Mondays and Tuesday nights, these guys would come down, and they would practice their pro wrestling. And what got me into it was watching pro wrestling. And I always kind of thought, oh, well, I'm not Hulk Hogan, I'm not a big guy, I'm not whatever. But on Monday night, on Nitro, they would have cruiserweight matches, the light heavyweights. And I started watching guys like Kidman and Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Benoit, Juventud, all those guys. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I know I can do this better than those fat losers who I see practicing on Monday nights down at the South Broadway Athletic Club. So about a year and a half or so into my boxing training, I meander over to the wrestling side, and it took forever. Did they do this bullshit to you where they refused to let you in the ring and kind of fucking saved you?
No. The first time I went down there, they got me in there, had me bump around a little bit, and then Philly Blunt took us downstairs in the basement, and he was like, all right, it's going to be $40 a month, and you can just pay me. So make sure next week when you come, you got money for me. So
no.
Yeah, I swear to God. And I showed up a couple more weeks with no money, and then I quit showing up there and started going to Gateway.
Wow, I'm glad you didn't pay a cent, because that's bullshit. There was no money. There was no charge for paying. Philly Blunt is a sack of shit. I've told some stories about him lying and being a fucking carny. on the show, but I did not realize he tried to fucking pilfer money from you. That's bullshit. That makes me really upset. Yeah.
Yeah, he did that to me and my buddy that went down there.
Did your buddy pay?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, when I went down there, they tried to convince me not to do it. They tried to, say, oh, this isn't for you. This is, you're a boxer. Stay over there. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. You're a dumb kid, dumb kid, dumb kid. But I just kept coming over there. And when they weren't there, I would go work out in the ring and learn myself and teach myself how to do the basics and take bumps and things like that. And eventually, after I hassled them enough, they let me in the ring. And they let me take a couple of bumps. And then they let me hit the ropes. But what they didn't realize is that I'd already been practicing for like a month or so on my own. So I wasn't new to getting in the ring. So I get in there and I impressed them all very, I impressed them with my ability to learn quickly. But after that, I trained probably for 6 to 8 more months before I had my first match in, I think it was May '99. May of '99 was I debuted at the South Broadway Athletic Club as Thunderbolt, a jobber character.
Thunderbolt, yeah, Red Lightning.
Yeah, Thunderbolt and his partner Red Lightning, right? So I debuted against Philly Blunt's other character. He played Saber. So I think that was my first ever match, and I remember. We went 8 minutes or something. It was heavily choreographed, but it was a really good match in terms of, we didn't screw up any spots or whatever, and so I'm like, all right, well, when do I get to be me? So I did one time as Thunderbolt, and they're like, no, you're Thunderbolt. And I'm like, fuck, really? I got to be Thunderbolt again? So I ended up doing Thunderbolt 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to be Thunderbolt, I'm going to be the best goddamn Thunderbolt they've ever seen. And so I started adding to the costume. The costume was just a black mask with, black tights and black long overhead. It was basically like a sweatshirt. It was ridiculous. It was like a full body, all black. I bought a cape. I went out and bought a cape, and I had stitched onto the back lead bolts. And I started doing the character from, the Jesus from The Big Lebowski. I basically started doing that as a character, and I came out to Hotel California. That is the song there that they use.
Yeah.
And and so I started doing lead bolts, and I did lead bolts for 2 months, and they're like, "All right, enough of that. You're killing our jobber character. You get to be Danny Kidman." I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Fucking crazy.
Because I was the huge Kidman mark at the time. So, yeah, that's how I got started. And I wrestled there for a year, maybe, until the end of 2000. And that's when I was sitting up in the locker room. And who do I see meander up? But the guy the first time I ever saw him was covered in blood because he got busted up in the hard way. Big Bad Ben walks up to me in the locker room and goes, "How would you like to work for my promotion? I'll pay you." And he said he'd pay me $50 a show. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do that. So then I got signed by GCW.
You got signed, bro.
I got signed, bro. Yeah. Yeah, big time.
What?
And then I got paid exactly 2 times for the first 2 shows, and then the money just stopped showing up. And we ended up all working for free for months and months and months and years and years.
Well, I think that's a great place to put a bookend on this part of this chapter of the beginning of our independent wrestling days. Little fucking what the fuck news to close it out. Did you hear about Cain Velasquez at the WWE Performance Center? What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. He was down there working out. He's a fan of professional wrestling, and so who knows? Did he get in the ring? Did he take bumps, or was he just there to lift weights and just hang out?
I don't know. From everything that I read, sounds like he was in there, rolling around and showing everybody that he's got some interest in professional wrestling. Not the first time I've heard about him having interest in professional wrestling, so maybe we'll see where that goes, I guess.
Well, it's a smart move. Anybody in MMA needs to respect the fact of what Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey have done. And what they've done, essentially, is extend their fighting career another 10 years and keep getting those paydays. Because in all athletic sports, your body breaks down and you just can't go. And at the UFC, you have to be at the top level of athleticism. And pro wrestling, not so much.
Unless you're fighting for Bellator.
What do you mean?
Then you don't have to be at the top of your game. You can just.
Oh, right. No, then you can be 53 years old and they'll give you a fight against Tito.
That's right. He's only 48, too, by the way.
So what do you think? Do you think Kane would be a good fit for WWE?
I think anybody that has any bout of legitimacy has a shot to do it. You know, we've seen legitimate athletes come over to WWE, fall flat on their fucking face, or in comedy terms, bomb. They're bombed hella. So, you know, is it something that could work out? Sure. But, you know, just because it could work out doesn't mean it's going to work out.
I think Kane still has a few more fights left, and I don't anticipate him signing with WWE. But, hey, putting those feelers out there. Definitely.
He's got his foot in the door over there. A little bit of information on the Titus O'Neil situation with the Hulk Hogan coming back. Did you read the Titus and the Kofi Kingston a little note they put out about it?
I read the Titus one. I didn't see the Kofi one, and from what I recall, he said something to the effect of,
basically what he said is that, you know, he didn't really apologize for it. You know, it didn't really seem like he was coming off very genuine, but as long as he's making strides to make better and not, you know, be a fucking bigot, then they're willing to accept him. You know, but he didn't accomplish that in his little comeback speech.
Right. Apparently his comeback speech, the reason it did not get over as anticipated was because they used it more as an opportunity to say, hey, watch out. You can always be filmed. You guys are celebrities, and you need to be aware of everything you say. You don't know. You could be being filmed. And Hulk Hogan apologized, but
it
came off as as like a secondary thing. But he didn't really say, look, I said a bunch of really bad racist stuff against you know, Peruvians. And, right.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, you got to apologize first, Hulkster.
Right, yeah, you got to come off genuine for sure. Well, hey, what a great way to wrap up this episode. Make sure you're following my independent wrestling promotion, all over social media. We got brand new episodes of Get Fisted TV coming out every Friday at Fist Combat TV. And also big shout out to Tasty Eye Creations for making those Dirty Ron edibles that are available at all the live shows.
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher, and go to patreon.com/Comedy Suplex. And for the low price of $1.99, you can become one of our patrons and get the rewards and get extended ad-free editions of all of our shows, all of our podcarts, plus bonus content from time to time. Follow us on our social media at Comedy Suplex, at Peach Machine, at The Viggity, at Dirty Ron McD, at Fist Combat TV, and at Grappling C. And don't forget the Wrestling Observer Convention, August 18th. It's going to be the Beach Bums, Mikey G, and the Peach Machine, The Viggity, tagging against Bryan Alvarez. Alvarez, get yourself a partner. We're going to make it happen, buddy.
Don't forget, we're going to be at the StarCast Podcast Row. We are all in Chicago Labor Day weekend. Really looking forward to that, Biggie.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a great show. We might even do some live podcasts with the fans. So we'll leave you with our famous 2 words as always.
Peruvians are awesome.
Who cares?
Who cares?